What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel on nootropics and a bunch of other stuff. Thanks so much for being with me. So I want to give you guys my latest favorite stack, right? It's not for the faint of heart. It is a very powerful stack. I take it twice a week max, usually just once a week. I discovered this about a month ago, that this particular formulation for my brain right now was very heavy hitting. So I'm going to give you the stack. We'll talk about what it does. And then you can try it. You can try it in the template that I suggest to you, or you can modify the doses slightly, but ultimately I would start here. It is a very powerful stack, so stick around. In the meantime, if you'd like access to a powerful nootropic stack right at your doorstep, courses that teach you how to use nootropics the right way, infusing nootropics methodology so that you get good results, or you'd like to have me formulate your regimen, pay attention to the following products. Number one, the Cortex Nootropic Stack. Powerful pre-made stack. I mean, 7 years on the market, ships to 40 countries, 65,000+ bottles sold of the Cortex Nootropic Stack. I mean, verbal fluency, mental energy in a pill, motivation, drive to work in a pill. Get Cortex, livecortex.com, because if you do on subscription, you get smarter, better, faster for free. There are 3 different nootropic courses that infuse into your brain nootropics usage methodology, which you need to know to get results from nootropics and stop wasting time and stop wasting powder. But importantly, get good, consistent results, and they are the following. If you're in the newish range to nootropics, Nootropics Ground Zero. This is a video course of yours truly. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long, and if you're new to nootropics, you've got to go get that course right now. Mid-level course, so if you want to ascend to the 6-year mark, get the Nootropics Masterclass. There are much more higher echelon, higher level principles and stacking strategies in that course. The highest level of nootropics courses that we have at livecortex.com is the Nootropics God course. I mean, this is very, very advanced stuff. So you probably want to get some of the other courses first and understand them and have a good base understanding of nootropics before you get the God course. But if you do, this is the course that will catapult your results to the next level. We're talking about Buzz Lightyear stuff. Lastly, if you'd like to have me formulate your regimen, that is what I do. I'm the world's foremost expert on neurohacking, and specifically nootropics. We'll formulate your morning regimen, your afternoon regimen, your general daily regimen, if we've got a fixed chemistry, your nootropic regimen, your test regimen, your sleep regimen, fully optimizing energy and brain performance. Go to livecortex.com, go to the consulting tab on top, and look at the options if you'd like to work with me. All right. So let's talk about my favorite latest nootropic stack. I'll give you a little preface on this. I first discovered this about a month ago. This actually was a client stack or something close to it. And the client was like, dude, I mean, this was literally like NZT, like taking the Limitless pill from the Bradley Cooper movie Limitless. And, I had put the stack together for him, like using nootropic stacking methodology and tailoring it for this person's particular brain. But there was a day right around, it was like the day after my birthday or something last month, which actually was March 20th. So that's 30 straight days. It was actually exactly a month ago that I did this. I remember having a lot of stuff to do. There was a lot on my plate. There was like stuff with Cortex and a new batch coming in, and there was product stuff that I was dealing with and a whole bunch of stuff. And I remember that day I was like, I feel good, I have some good energy. I'd like to see if I can just like for 16 or 17 hours, like my entire waking day, focus, have good energy, and get a lot done. And I needed to. There were things that were in the pipeline that I was sort of ignoring or procrastinating on, etc. So I'm like, let me just formulate a really, really killer stack. Looking in the book of stacks of mine, I'm like, okay, that could be good, that could be good, that could be good. But what about this stack? Because client X had really great results with it. So I'm going to give you the stack, and then let's break down the stack. And then I'll explain sort of how it affected me throughout that day, and then how I use it now. The stack is the following: 400 milligrams of Alcar, 100 milligrams of Modafinil, a B complex, so I administer the B complex with this stack, 500 milligrams of oxiracetam, 200 milligrams of teacrine, 60 milligrams bromantane, and 150 milligrams of L-theanine. Okay, so I'm going to keep the stack on the screen for a second so you guys can look at it and just sort of understand what's going on here, or postulate what you think is going on, and then I'm going to explain what the methodology is behind it, what the logic is behind the stack, and then also what you can expect from it and what it does to me. Okay, so let's break each compound down compound by compound. I've got 400 milligrams of Alcar in there. Now, like, that is my morning, it's in my morning regimen every single day. But that day, and whenever I take this, I don't put Alcar in my morning regimen, because then I'd be dealing with 800 milligrams of Alcar. My normal regimen in the morning with my supplement regimen is 400 milligrams of Alcar, which is really useful. So I just stuck with 400 straight milligrams of Alcar in this particular stack. Brain energy, a little bit of choline synthesis, generally better processing speed and power. Then I've got 100 milligrams of modafinil in the mix. 100 milligrams of modafinil. My dose is typically 75, but again, that day and the days that I use the stack are days in which I really want to get 10 to 15 plus hours of work done with very few breaks in between. I mean, I just like literally want to be like tackling something. So the modafinil, right? I'm forcing dopamine release. I'm working on the orexin neuropeptide system to keep me awake and prevent tiredness. It's like caffeine on steroids without side effects or jitters. The B complex. Now, the B complex is critical for this stack for me, because the synthesis of acetylcholine with B6 is really important, like B12, B1, B2, B3, all of these are important for the regulation and the homeostasis of the rest of the neurotransmitters in the presence of a stack. Not that it's taking away from excessive neurotransmitter release, but it makes the stack a lot more balanced. So there's no highs and there's no lows. Like there's no oddly stimulatory state and then there's no crashes. That's what I found with using B complex with very complex high-hitting stacks, that it's useful to do that because of that, to keep the stack balanced. I've got some oxiracetam in there, right? Adding to that memory, cholinergic, hippocampal cholinergic release, response, and processing, right? I just need that to sort of be sustained for a good bit of my day, so that, you know, I can both have the energy to tackle what I'm doing, but also, you know, the extra functionality, brain performance wise, because energy from a stack and then functionality are two different things. You can weave them in together, and this is a great way to do that. Then I've got 200 milligrams of teocrine. Now, the logic behind teocrine is amping up the stimulation, right, on top of the Alcar and the modafinil in the stack. But teocrine is a long half-life, has a long half-life, right? So it's a long-lasting compound. So now I've got two very long-lasting compounds in the mix, modafinil and teocrine, and that's really the logic for having teocrine in there. Because again, the objective is, the target is powerful brain state, powerful energy, great cognitive endurance for a long duration of time. I mean, I want my effect duration window to be like 10 hours minimally on this stack, to still have cognitive endurance and functionality 10 hours later after the administration of the stack. Then I've got 60 milligrams of bromantane. 60 milligrams of bromantane. So if I'm forcing the release of dopamine, which I am with modafinil, I want to be synthesizing it more. I mean, this is just sort of a neurohack, a nootropics hack that people should be employing in some cases when you're taking dopamine release agents, right? Ultimately, you want to be making more dopamine from raw precursor when you're doing that, because otherwise you run into dopamine depletion problems temporarily from the releasable pool, which tends to tone down motivation in the ensuing days or even later on after the stack. You don't want to run into that, so that's why I've got bromantane in the mix. At the same time, bromantane is a clean stimulant for me. It just allows me to have like good brain energy and focus for considerable periods of time. Again, considering that, you know, I'm shooting for 10 to 15 plus hours of straight work. And then, as you may imagine, if you've dived into any of our courses and have come to understand nootropics usage methodology, I have theanine in the mix, 150 milligrams L-theanine. This is very carefully placed at 150 milligrams so that, again, in conjunction with the B complex, the stack is not out of balance, right? The stack is not overstimulated. There's no highs and lows. There's no weird fluctuations throughout the stack. Like, I like my stacks to be very streamlined in their effects. They need to be consistently working very effectively. And so theanine in the mix, like, it just makes the stack never peak to that place where my focus goes awry because my brain is working entirely too fast, okay? So that's why theanine is in the mix in this stack. So I'll run through the stack again. Let's put it back on the screen. This is my latest favorite nootropic stack. 400 milligrams Alcar, 100 of modafinil, a B complex with the stack, 500 milligrams oxiracetam, 200 teacrine, 60 milligrams bromontane, 150 milligrams L-theanine. All right, so let's talk about what it does for me, and then I'll also talk about how you can employ it and then how you should cycle it, because these are two really important things. Number one, I take it first thing in the morning, like shortly after my daily regimen, right around coffee time, and within an hour of waking up. Because I've got two very powerful, long-lasting, really three chemicals: modafinil, teacrine, bromontane. And if I take those compounds really in any doses that are above medium dose past noon or even 11:30 a.m., it will disrupt my sleep. It will disrupt my sleep. Now I could add phosphoracetine, theanine, ashwagandha later on, and that helps, but ultimately it's not a good restful sleep because my brain is like way wired and awake. So I've got to take this really early in the morning. So that's like important point number one. If you're going to try to replicate this stack, take it as early in the morning as you can. What it does is within 25 minutes or so, the typical stack that I take is noticeable, and depending on what I'm trying to do, like the processing will kick in at 25 minutes or something, and I'll be like, all right, now I can feel my brain functioning good, time to get down to the work that I planned for the day. This stack is like everything hits at once. Like it's just like at 25, 30 minutes, I'm like, wow, the modafinil's kicking in, my brain's like super clear. I feel totally like myself with zero inhibitions. The bromontane's kicking in, so it's like that extra stimulant energy. The teacrine's kicking in, so it's that extra wakefulness and power to just focus on work. The oxiracetam starts kicking in, right? And then I'm in a place where I'm like, well, now my brain wants to process a bunch of information. I feel really amazing. Time to get down to it. The Alcar is sort of in the background doing its thing, B-complex, etc., and the L-theanine too. Just preventing that excessive stimulation point to where, again, I can't focus. If I get too stimulated or the stack is too strong without a balancer, focus is hard, and I'd rather multitask. And that's useful sometimes, but not when I've got to focus on one or two things for like a long period of time. So that's what it does to me. It basically just puts me in a place where for 10 to 15 hours, and like literally the last time I did this, I marked it, it was 16 hours of work. I took breaks and I ate dinner, but over the course of like my waking period, I worked for 16 hours. It was literally insane. After about 5 or 6 hours, that initial burst of high-level brain performance starts to fade a little bit, but I've got compounds in here like modafinil, like bromontane, and like teacrine that are prolonging it because they're long-lived compounds with long half-lives. So it's like after that long, I really don't want that morning or that first element of the stack's jolt in brain performance and cognitive endurance. Like I usually at that point take a little break, maybe eat something, sometimes meditate for 15, 20 minutes, and then go back at it after like a shower or something, right? Showers, I don't know, they just reset my brain and kind of reset me in a way. I'm like, all right, my body feels chill, much more relaxed. Now let's get back into it, but in a less aggressive way than in the morning. In the morning, we're like, let's go. And then later on, the stack is still hitting and I've calmed everything down. I just then am left with, for the rest of the night, the rest of the effect duration window, great brain function, right? It's not excessively stimulatory. It's definitely still noticeable. It's not like it faded away completely. The functionality is still there. And that's how I like to function. When you function really awesomely, I always say this, you never want to go back to not functioning awesomely. And then I usually wrap up at about 11 p.m. midnight, right? If I've taken the stack very early in the morning, like we're talking about 8 a.m., sometimes 7:30. And then right around 11 p.m., midnight or so is when I'll wrap up. Usually with this stack, just in case I'm throwing down 3 milligrams melatonin at nighttime. It's not something I do every night. In fact, I don't take melatonin a whole lot, every now and then, but strategically. So in this case, like I want it to induce sleep. I want to completely shut off that the stimulation and the brain processing and all the drive. I feel very accomplished, so that helps too at that point because I've been doing a lot throughout the day and I got a lot done. And then usually with the stack, I sleep just fine. I may need an extra half hour to an hour the next day in the morning, in which case I'll just lay in bed and get that extra rest. Because regardless, you push yourself Just like if you push yourself harder in a workout, you may need a little more rest the next day. But generally the next day is fine. And I'll usually run a simple stack, something very basic, something that just kind of gets my brain functioning, pretty good, not going excessively stimulatory on the secondary stack the next day. So how should you employ this? First of all, you should first consider like how you respond to things like B complex and modafinil. Like some people don't respond to taking a B complex with stacks or just having B complexes in the mix, whether they have like a rash or they get excessively stimulated or something. I mean, some people have methylation problems and don't respond to B complexes the right way. So just consider looking at these compounds and how you typically respond to them. But if all is well, take the stack as is. So I'll put the stack in front of you again so you can have a look and understand, maybe screenshot this or copy it down or something. I would try the stack as is, okay? Because remember, we've got fail-safes in here. If it's excessively stimulatory for your particular brain, again, assuming all the things are fine, you would execute the stack. You've got the theanine in there as a fail-safe to kind of keep things balanced. It's actually a really, really well put together stack. So I would try it like this first. If you take this stack, my latest favorite stack, and you get to the point where like, well, yeah, you're super productive or whatever, but it could be toned down just a little bit. I think the first things that I would change would be modafinil, teacrine, and bromontane, because they're dosed very high in this particular stack, right? So I'd probably take the modafinil down to like 75, take the teacrine down to like 150, and the bromontane down to like 40, right? You're just bumping each of those down a little bit and then running the stack again. If you do this and you recognize that the first time you take it, it's amazing, great. Put it in the reservoir of stacks to take that are amazing. If you take it and you recognize that it's too powerful for you, then execute the strategy of lowering the modafinil just a little bit, lowering the teacrine just a little bit, and lowering the bromontane just a little bit. And then don't take it the very next day. Like if you took it and it was great, but it was a little too stimulatory, wait a day. And then take it the following day, right? Just to kind of keep your response to it fresh and keep sort of a clean slated brain going into it. You don't want to be trying to do your adjustments on a stack the very next day. That's just a piece of nootropics usage methodology that I wanted to infuse for you folks. So let's talk about cycling. I do not take this stack nearly a lot. I don't take it every day. Obviously, I would never do that. It's not sustainable to be taking a stack like that every day, at least from my perspective. I probably take the stack once or twice a week, and usually just once a week. This should be reserved for the days where you're like, all right, forget everything else, right? Like nothing else matters, and I've got to focus, and I have the time and the freedom and the space filled up to execute 10 to 15 hours of work. That's really what you want to do, because ultimately you're going to be releasing a bunch of neurotransmitters. A bunch of neurotransmitters are going to be heightened. The brain is going to be in a completely powerful place. So like you want to have stuff to execute so that you can output a lot of that energy that it's going to create. Like, why have it if you're not going to have just a complex array of stuff that you've got to get into and get done and get completed, so that at the end of the day you feel really good about yourself that you got it all done. Usually I pick a day for this stack lately, like dosing it over the last 30 days, like sparingly, of course. Like I look at, should Monday be the day? Is Tuesday going to be the day? Is Friday going to be the day? It depends on a whole host of factors, and you should decide that too if you're going to take this stack. But definitely take it in a cyclical strategy like this, no more than twice a week. The one time that I did it 2 times a week was on a Monday and then again on a Friday. So I had 4 days in between where I was either taking different nootropic stacks, or one day I think there was no nootropic stack, or I wasn't really hitting things substantially hard in terms of neurotransmitter release, so that when Friday came back around, I was like, I'm reset, I'm ready to go, I've got a lot to do, I've planned it all out, I got a to-do list the size of like a woman's shopping list, and let's hit it. All right, so this is my latest favorite nootropic stack. It is jiving exceptionally well with my brain at the moment. Last time I took this was last Friday. Yeah, just this previous Friday. It was honestly incredible. And I have it slotted to take tomorrow again, okay? So it'll be 6 days or something before I take it again. And tomorrow's another day where I've got to get a lot done. There's a lot going on. And so I want to wake up I wake up early anyway, 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and then very shortly after, get my breakfast in, morning supplement regimen, coffee, and then take the stack and go to town. This is my latest favorite nootropic stack, and it is not for the faint of heart. Make sure you follow the instructions that I put into this, because again, I mean, that's what I do, right? In figuring out how stacks can be sustainable, how to keep them balanced, and how to cycle them appropriately so that you always have it in the arsenal so that you can take some time down the line when you really, really need to turn brain function on. This stuff is like actual NZT without the side effects. Thanks for being with me, everybody. Remember, if you want access to a powerful nootropic stack, courses that teach you some of the principles that are infused into that stack, but principles that allow you to actually use nootropics in a way that is sustainable, gets you consistent results, doesn't lead to downregulation or tolerance, and more. If you're new to nootropics, ground zero is where you have to be. Right, you've got to get that course, because you'll save 2 to 3 years at the very least, and you'll save money, and you'll save time, and you'll save powder getting that course. Stop rummaging through Reddit and listening to these guys that are in 1-2 years or 6 months saying one thing or the other and believing that that's going to apply to you. I created a course that is specifically tailored to people that are brand new to nootropics. Nootropics Masterclass is the 6-year mark. So if you want to get to the 6-year mark, which again comes with different expertise, right? Different results, different stacking strategies. Get the Nootropics Masterclass. If you have a great understanding of nootropics and you just want to ascend to the 10 to 15 year mark, I mean, this is where the expert level biohackers that are using nootropics are, and there are not many of them. In fact, the other people that exist that know this stuff have either watched Nootropics God Course or I have personally taught them myself. There aren't other biohackers out there that are nootropics, enthusiasts or post content about it that are at the level of the strategy and the methodology that is infused into the Nootropics God Course. There's literally no one. So get that course, livecortex.com, if you want to be at that level. Very powerful video course. And then lastly, I mean, you can get the courses, but if you'd like me to formulate your regimen, your morning regimen or your daily regimen for whatever we're targeting, maybe a bad baseline energy, your nootropic regimen, 5 times a week, which nootropic stacks you're going to take, which neurotransmitter systems they're going to target, a cyclical strategy, right? Labeling those stacks for the stuff that you've got to do, proper cycling on the weekends, someone to manage your nootropic regimen as well, like from the outside, looking at what's happening, examining the results, analyzing what needs to happen next. If we've got to work on sleep, if we've got to work on testosterone, we'll do that too. Go to livecortex.com and find the consulting tab on the menu and look at the options and book with me. If you've got any questions, there is a form on that page that allows you to ask questions. If you need a custom quote for your situation that may be unique, please fill out the information on the consulting page. Send us an email, it'll go right to me, and you will get a response that day. Thank you so much for being with me, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Have you ever wanted to feel what it feels like to use all of your brain? To fire on all cylinders, have access to your deepest performance potential, and to tap into the reservoir of pure mental capacity? Well, I've cracked the code to being able to access your full brain. My name is Ryan Michael Ballo, and I am the pioneer of society's modern use of what are called nootropics, brain performance enhancers that trigger neurotransmitter systems to function at peak capacity. But the mere use of nootropics, I found, isn't quite enough. You see, most people are using nootropics entirely in the wrong way, not maximizing potential and yielding the best effects. So I've spent the greater part of the last 15 years studying neuroscience and formulating what is called nootropics usage methodology, a wide collection of highly advanced principles that allow you to unlock your true brain performance potential using nootropics. I dug deep into the core of neurobiology and pharmacology of nootropics to create methods of usage that keep your nootropic stacks hitting hard, staying consistent, and continuously delivering high-performance brain states. And that is what I bring to the table. I have consulted some of the biggest names in business, ranging from entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley to famous actors to business owners and professionals in every vertical, in every industry. What my expertise is in applying the methodology I invented in targeting neurotransmitter and brain function systems to fire on all cylinders, creating highly targeted, custom-tailored nootropic formulations for high-performance business people, entrepreneurs, and elite achievers. I will formulate your heavy-hitting, sustainable, tailored nootropic stacks targeted toward your brain. I will manage your schedule of dosing, and I will ensure through detailed micro-adjustments and continued support that your brain is performing at peak capacity so that you can focus on the bread and butter of your business and your life. Leave it all up to me, and let's get started on your journey in supercharging mental performance.